Hello, Aldwyn Altuney here. Welcome to Media Queen TV. We have an amazing guest with us today who's coming all the way from Kenya, you believe. He actually has a phenomenal business based in the Philippines. It's called Global Office Works. He has a team of 30 virtual assistants in the Philippines, and he's a wealth of knowledge. If you are looking for a virtual assistant, or if you have a virtual assistant, or perhaps a few, then you may have some questions for this amazing man in Kenya right now. He actually started his business in 2012, so 9 years he's been running it. And initially he thought it would be a really easy thing to run in the middle of the Great Recession, right? In a new, unfamiliar country with a completely different culture. However, it has been a phenomenal experience for him having this company. And he actually owned a real estate company in Colorado for over 20 years as well. And he envisioned that GLOW, or Global Office Works, he envisioned that it would be a specialized service for realtors at a cost-effective price initially, working with real estate agents. And nowadays he works with all sorts of businesses from all over the world. Welcome, Rodney. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Aldwyn. Yes, it's
fantastic.
Been a pleasure. Yes, I am actually in Kenya, but I shouldn't be here. I should be home in the Philippines, but I took a short vacation a couple of months ago, and then the Philippines closed the doors, and now we're waiting for them to be open again. So here we are. Luckily, Kenya has great internet coverage.
Amazing. And right now it's 10 p.m. here on the Gold Coast in Australia. What time is it for you over there?
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
3 p.m. Amazing. Isn't it great that we can connect like this across the planet?
Incredible.
And yes. Kenya is very, very civilized, so thankfully you're not dealing with any of the unrest that's happening in parts of South Africa, etc. at the moment. Thankfully you're safe there, and hey, with a business that you can run virtually, which is your specialty, you can be anywhere in the world and still have a successful business. So Rodney, I'd love to know a bit more about your background. Sounds like you've done some phenomenal things being in Colorado. And can you tell us a bit about, just go back to the beginning, where were you born? How did you end up in Colorado, etc.? Just a bit of your history.
It's an interesting story. I find it kind of a boring story, but others don't. I was born and raised in Sydney, in Parramatta. And I did what many kids do when I finished high school. I put on my backpack and went traveling around the world, said bye to mum. I'll be back in a year. That was 37 years ago, and I haven't been back yet. Sorry, mum. So I traveled for a few years and then ended up in Colorado, which became my life, my home. Started a real estate business in a ski town, which I really loved, and built slowly, but built it to quite a large enterprise, real estate sales and development. And then when the global financial crisis hit, things kind of all went south. We hung on to the business, but it crushed it was my ex-wife and I had that business in Colorado. And anyway, through the global financial crisis, the business got crushed, the marriage got crushed. So I was in my, what do I do with my life now? It was a real transformation for me because I'd spent all the 25 years in Colorado chasing money. And then I finished that and decided to move to the Philippines and chase happiness, which most Filipinos don't have money, but they are blessed with happiness. Right?
Nice.
So they have a lot to teach us about what's really important.
Yes.
So I started all over again in the Philippines, and now I'm blessed with a wonderful wife and 3 kids and a great life. But it wasn't easy starting any business. It certainly wasn't easy, and I basically only made it through by endurance because I kept making mistake after mistake after mistake. Because 9 years ago, when I'd say somebody I had a virtual assistant company, their number one question is, "What are virtual assistants?"
Yes.
It wasn't the thing that it is now.
No. Yes.
And one of the reasons I struggled in business in Colorado really is because I didn't have a virtual assistant. It was a lot harder 10 years plus ago with technology, but I'm paying $75,000, $85,000 a person to have assistants. and so when I come to the Philippines, I'm like, God, what can I do? How am I going to support myself? And then I matched the two. I'm like, God, there's all these real estate agents that need this, and they can't afford $85,000 a year. And here am I that I can teach this to Filipinos. So I started that way, and then obviously since then it's branched out. Any small business needs administrative work is what we serve now.
Amazing. And the world of VAs, which is basically, someone working virtually, as we say, like you've got PA's personal assistant, VA's virtual assistant, someone working overseas, like a personal assistant, right? For those that are wondering what a VA is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. And it's interesting because 10 years ago, people were just starting to get into, sort of using VAs, right? And a lot of them were in Australia, were using people from India and from Philippines. Of course, we love the time difference with Philippines only being 2 hours behind Australia.
Yes.
And also a lot of Filipinos are university educated. They're very respectful. There's lots of positives about particularly the Filipino culture. And of course, we're generalizing because you get great VAs from all over the world, of course.
Yeah, sure.
Your business, of course, is based in the Philippines. And I remember, 10 years ago, VAs were, you could get them on places like Odes for like $2 an hour or $3 an hour. And now, the prices have been going up over the years, right? Which
Especially
is interesting.
This last year with COVID.
Yes.
Demand has increased so much.
Yes, which is interesting. But, $2 an hour is a great money for the Filipinos, right? Even,
It used to be, when they were like at a 10% inflation rate, 10 years at 10% and compounded.
Right.
So, that's one of the reasons why the prices went up also.
Okay, got it. Okay, I thought they were just being a bit cheeky and kept putting their prices up. So, that was once upon a time. So nowadays, pretty much, what nowadays when people look for VAs, what sort of price ranges would they look to pay for a VA nowadays?
Yeah, it really starts, and that'll lead me into the types of different ways you hire your VA. If you have no more time than money, and you really want to get going, but you don't, you want to get it at the lowest, which is around the $5 mark, to go on Upwork or some of the internet sites, onlinejobs.ph, and find your own, and then manage your own. Then that's the $5, $6, $7 range. And then there's a middle range, and we can discuss all the pros and cons of each one, but I'll summarize it. Then there's recently, the last year or two, there's been people like myself who have had managed. Ours is a fully managed office in the office, not at home, space with lots of management, supervision, training, all that stuff for your virtual assistant. They're for the people that a couple of extra dollars an hour isn't as much of a problem as the time it takes to manage your team of VAs or your VAs. So we take care of all that management. And that's in that, $10 to $15 an hour range for a fully managed offshore. I think we're about $12 an hour. But there's also a middle one that's entered the market, which is a good idea. It's the people that have the time to manage, but they want their VA to be an office community. So there's people that just basically set up office pods, and their VAs go to the office pod and just work from there, which eliminates a lot of that internet and electricity outages that people who work from home in the Philippines have. So you've really got three choices. Call it, $5 an hour, $8 an hour, and $12 an hour, depending on the amount of management and amount of service that you're looking for.
Yes. And that is a huge thing. You might be paying some VAs, and I know some of my friends in business on the Gold Coast here, some of them are paying out $3, $4 even. So, it really varies. And some are paying $25 plus, so it really, there's a big range. In fact, on Upwork, you'll even see some VAs charging $75 plus. I mean, it can be a real range. However, it's a really good point you say about the management of the VAs. And I think if you pay less sometimes for someone working from home, you will not have someone who's going to be as productive generally as someone who's in an office environment. And, I'm really curious as to 30 virtual assistants in your office. How do you manage that? And what's the system that you've set up to manage your whole team there?
Yeah, well, I'm very top heavy in management. I've got basically got 25 VAs and 5 managers, because that sounds like a lot to a normal business person, but these are 20. I'm going to generalize because some VAs, some clients have multiple VAs, but let's call it 25 clients. They're all 25 different businesses, so it's not like I can kind of manage one group of people doing the same thing for the same client. So it's 25 different businesses. So we just have a lot of levels, 5 levels of management, from your immediate team leader, your account manager, your trainer, your operations manager, and general manager. And all of them are involved in the day-to-day. Our clients call any one of them whenever there's any kind of an issue. And our mission is, we try to take the problem over. If the VA didn't get something done to your expectation, sure, you have that chat with your VA, what happened, and then they fail again. You just take that straight to their upper level management or the trainer and say, can you get in there and get this sorted? Because I'm too busy. And that's really valuable. And a lot of our management is on the accountability side too. If when they're sitting in an office with a manager management by walking around, and they have reporting to do to us, as well as whatever their client wants to do, they know they're under the gun and they can't slack off and take care of their kid at home or anything like that.
Yes, absolutely. That is a fantastic benefit of having a whole team working in the Philippines in an office, is that you have greater accountability. You've also got people with all sorts of different skills that you can swap and change around as your client needs as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. Hiring one VA, you're really limited. You can't hire an administrative VA to do administrative and do your books and do dot your I's and cross your T, a real detailed person, then expect them to be a creative content writer or video editor. Or so when you hire a team, you get all those resources within the team. And I've learned all these things from 9 years of failing. Not that long, we failed the first few years, but so we provide a team of, if you're just doing an 8-hour a day full-time virtual assistant, we provide a team of 2 to give you that both redundancy and also those complementary skills that they can get everything you've done. Because typical entrepreneur business owner will come with a long list of things they need doing, and kind of somehow expect that one person has the skill level or the left brain, right brain to do that, and one person doesn't. So it takes our whole office sometimes to be able to do the entire list. By the way, I want you to build me a website, be proficient in WordPress,
and do my accounts.
I did my accounts. Yeah. So we have all of that in the office, and that really works out. I actually, when I started, I had this vision of moving to the Philippines, connecting a whole bunch of home-based VAs up with a whole bunch of clients, because I'm a connector, and pouring my pina colada and sitting under the coconut tree and calling it good. And I tried that for the first year, and that was my first absolute failure. 100% failure rate that was. So the home-based really is only for people that really, maybe they're managing a team onshore right now and they're just going to add a person or 2 to that, but there's still hands-on management with every single task they give. Then you can get a home base to work for that. But if it's kind of like train them up, especially on redundant tasks, which are the best things to do, train them up and then just let them be, and you just monitor the results. All that drama that happens, in any workplace, but you want somebody else to handle that. So that's the managed office.
Yes, exactly. And looking at what is your time worth, right? What is your time worth?
Yes.
And that's a huge thing. If you can take away some of that burden for people of training VAs, finding VAs. I mean, I know I put a job on Upwork once, and there was so many applications that came through. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know where to start with it. And so just to be able to take that drama out, is really, really huge. Hello, Angelique. Good to see you. We've got Angelique joining us. And hello, where are you joining us from? For those who are joining us on the live, watching on Facebook or on YouTube on Media Queen TV, please pop into the chat. If you have any questions for Rodney around virtual assistants, then please pop them in the chat, or let us know also where you are joining us from right now. Whereabouts are you in the world? Now, I know I have lots of questions for you, Rodney, around this, because it can be a real minefield. And you hear about the horror stories with VAs. Here we go. Hi there, I'm a VA. We've got a VA here. Hello, VA. We have a VA from the Philippines. Nice to watch this live. Oh, well, welcome, VA from the Philippines. So this will be interesting for you to hear the Westerner's perspective on the VAs in the Philippines.
I'm very interested to see if you think I'm spot on or if I'm way off.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know what you think. Let us know. Fantastic. And I must say, Filipino people I've met generally are really lovely people. They're very respectful. And, my VA Kat, I've worked with her for about 3-4 years or so. And she always says, yes, boss. She loves to say yes, boss. And, they're very respectful in how they speak to you, which is really lovely. And I think that kind of respect really would be great for everyone to show others, in life in general. So Angelique says, I am in Brisbane. Do you have a mind map or something similar of VA skills? Well, that's a great question, Angelique. Do you have a mind map or something similar? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I have a video, but I'm a big mind map person, and you've really given me a great idea to put that into a mind map rather than just rambling along in a video or a description of we've got 101 skills that we can send you of what skills we use. But yeah, I'd love to be able to send you a mind map. If you guys, rather than kind of me try to jump out of here and dig around looking, if you could put an email address in the chat, then I'm assuming I can save the chat, and then after this is over, I can send you guys out anything at all you want that I can help with.
Yeah, wonderful. So if you're happy to pop into the chat watching this right now, Angelique, hello, Beverly, good to see you too. Just pop in the chat your email address or private message it to Rodney. He's been tagged in these videos. If you don't want your email address, Angelique's very happy for email address to be there. There it is. Angelique's popped hers in. So she'd love to stay in touch with you. And we've got Beverly here. Hello, Beverly from Redcliffe near Brisbane. I have a question. With your team approach, do you work with packages of a certain number of hours per week or simply ad hoc? That's another good question. So they're coming in thick and fast now. Rodney, we've got all the questions coming in.
and Beverly, I'm happy to answer it, but I will answer it. I didn't come here to promote me. I'm trying to help you guys. But so I'll give you different options to use. But yeah, our service, we offer either 4 hours or 8 hours or above. With 8 hours, you get 2 4-hour VAs if you're doing 8 hours. A lot of clients start small. They think, I know I need this, but I don't need 8 hours. And then they start with 4, and within a month or two, they're like, oh my God, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So you'll increase it. And if you don't increase it, you're happy to stay with 4 hours. If you take on 4 hours, it's likely that mostly it's going to be one person who's going to use the resources of other people from time to time. But yeah, we do offer, but it's definitely not ad hoc or task by task. It's a 4 hour per day, 5 days a week, assistant, because these people, Beverly, they join your team. And if your team's just you and her, the VA, that's a team of 2. If you've got 5 employees in Brisbane, then now you've got 6. One of them just happens to be in the Philippines, because that's one of the real secrets to success of a virtual assistant, is to treat them exactly as you treat all your other onshore employees.
Yes, great question there. Excellent question, Beverly. And now back to the mind map. Now, Angelique, that is a brilliant question. Mind mapping is absolutely brilliant. And we were talking about MindMeister is one of the tools you can use for mind mapping. What are some other mind mapping tools that you would recommend, Rodney?
I'm only really familiar with Lucent.
Okay.
As a mind map, but I use mind map. I don't think it matters if it's actually, since we're talking about mind map, it doesn't really matter which one you use. Mind map is free and it's great. But if you choose another one, it doesn't matter. Just get the ideas out of your head and onto that map. it's the first step to having a virtual assistant, because the number one reason why people fail with virtual assistants is for some unknown reason the virtual assistant doesn't know what you're thinking. Right? But if you can
Yes.
get it into that mind map, then you're leaps ahead of the game. And then from there, each little step of the mind map can get documented with a video, and then your VA can turn the video into a flow chart and detailed point by bullet point instructions. Because I find I like to do both the video and the instructions. Some people like me, I'm more amenable. I work better just looking at bullet points. But obviously a lot of people are more visual. So if you do both, you've got it captured, and then you're done. Every time something happens, you lose an employee, or a new one just goes back to that mind map, goes back to that process. So first takeaway for everybody is to mind map done, and then you can identify. My VA can do that. No, they can't do that. But you can, put a little asterisk for everything your VA could be doing. But it's got to get out of your head.
Yeah, and being really clear with your instructions is crucial, because a lot of Filipinos particularly will love to please, right, Rodney? They will say yes even when they don't know how to do something, right? Or they don't understand fully, right?
Yes.
So the clearer you can make it. So what's some tips around that? How to be really clear? Mind mapping is a great idea.
First of all, never put any instructions or tasks or anything in email or Skype or Facebook.
So don't put them on.
Spend 2 hours trying to find whatever it was. So use a project management system, whatever your choice is, a Teamwork, Asana, anything you like. Just use that. Then get it in there, and then have a voice conversation where your assistant tells you what you need doing. So they've read the task, they've read it at their own speed, had a while to maybe do some research, they can figure out whatever they need to understand. Then in your daily call, when you're just summarizing, it can be real brief. You just have her or him tell you what it is, and then you'll say, no, sorry. Don't ever say you got that wrong. That won't work, because that'll be shaming them. And it probably is not their fault anyway. The problem is you didn't describe that well enough. You weren't clear enough in your description in writing. So you can hash that out until make sure. It's not unlike the waiter when you go to a restaurant repeating you back your order, so you make sure they've got it. And if they've got it and you've got your step-by-step clear instructions, they will do a fantastic job. If they screw it up, look in the mirror most of the time.
Yes, look in the mirror. If you've got one finger pointing that way, you've got three coming back at you, right? So that's what they say, right? If you're pointing the fingers. So you can never be clear enough with VAs, right? Never be clear enough. And I like, you've got a great sentence around that, right, Rodney? What's that secret sauce sentence?
A good takeaway into them. My sentence, and I think it's a great sentence to use in any culture, but in the Filipino culture, where it's a culture of I call it fame and shame, which is, and I'll get to the fame because fame's very important as well. But in the shame, you don't want to be ashamed. They might quit if they get ashamed. They'll be too ashamed, and they might not show up tomorrow. So you don't shame them. And one of the simplest ways to shame them is if you say, "Did you understand?" They're not going to say no because they feel ashamed if they admit to saying no, they didn't understand. Whereas if you said it in a more of a back end way, such as, "Was there anything I didn't explain well enough or explain clear enough to you that you don't quite get yet? Or is there anything I can explain better?" That puts the shame on you, the explainer. And then that'll move forward. Then they'll own up and say, "Yes, it was confusing what you said. The way you said this and that, it was confusing." And the other end, like I believe the number one thing that motivates your Filipino VA, in most cultures, Australian, American or whatever, the number one thing that motivates anybody is money. And in the Philippines, it's not true. They need enough money to take care of their things, and any extra that they get that they can go out with their friends, it's all good. But it's not the number one motivator. The number one motivator is acknowledgement. I put that in the fame category of the fame and shame. So the more you can acknowledge a job well done, it's at least equally as important as admonishing a job that didn't get done right. Is that virtual pat on the back. In my office, of course, this is psychology 101, but of course, if there's a screw up, we take them aside and do some personal coaching and counseling. But if they've got something that their client has said, even their client reached out to me and said, I just want to let you know, Karen's just doing a bang up job. Then we have a little Saturday morning social giveaway thing. And I will be the one, or our general manager will be the one to actually announce that in the whole office. Not just tell the person, by the way, your client said this. We tell the whole office because of the fame, and they love it. It drives. So that's a big one. Acknowledge.
Very nice. Yeah, I love that. And of course, there's the 5 love languages, of course, and you can have your VAs do this test, and it's a great test for you to do. The 5 love languages that people like to be acknowledged in different ways too. So the 5 love languages, like the book, you've got acts of service, you've got words of affirmation, you've got time, you've got gifts, and touch is the other one. So there's 5 different ways generally that people like to be appreciated. And words are very big in the Filipino culture is words, and we all like to be acknowledged, and time, and so that's always a good test to do with people too, to see how they like to be acknowledged and how they like to be appreciated in different ways. So yes, very, very interesting. You've made some great points there. Now Angelique has asked, how do you spell that mind mapping software that you were talking about?
Mind, MEISTR.
Oh, that's MindMeister. And then what was the what was that other one you said? Lucent.
I'm not sure. Lucent? I don't use it.
Okay, I'll do a quick Google in the background here. Lucent.
Yeah.
Lucent Mind Map. There's a whole lot out. There's Free Mind, I believe, is another one.
Free Mind, yes, that's a good one. Yeah.
Free Mind. Oh, there's Lucid Spark. Is that the one you mean? Lucent. Oh, there's a few. Lucid Chart. There's quite a lot, actually. If you look up Mind Map.
Lucid Chart, I think it is, yes.
Oh, Lucid Chart. Okay.
Lucid Chart.
So Lucid Chart. So I'll just pop that link in there. Lucid Chart. Mind mapping software. Okay. So, all right, I'll just pop that link into the comments so that you can all see that. But, check it out for yourself. There's a whole lot out there, and most of them are free, right? These mind mapping softwares.
Yes, up to a certain point, but most people, you only need one level.
Yeah.
If you're going to do 50 charts, then they start charging you. But if you do 1 or 2 or 3, they're all free. Yeah. Yeah, great. And we've got quite a few people put their email address here. May DeFerio, who looks like she's in the Philippines. That must be our VA in the Philippines, who's put her email address in there. And we have Sahim. Hello, Sahim. Where are you coming to us from? He says, you are the best. Thank you so much. He's given us 3 stars out of 3. It must be 3 stars out of 3. Thank you, Sahim. He says, I like it. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Awesome. So what are some of the other tips you can give us, Rodney? And I'm sure you just such a wealth of knowledge around this. Yeah, sure.
Some other tips and some pitfalls to watch out for. What are some things to watch out for people that are going out looking for their own VA? What are some things that they need to be careful of when they're doing that?
Yes. Yeah. So if you go the home-based route, you it's a fine line because you really need to watch them. But more so than, I hate to even use that word, watch them, you need to hold them accountable.
Right.
Because they're at home and there's lots of distractions. A typical Filipino household typically is not just their VA in a flat by themselves. They're living with grandma and cousins and siblings and their siblings' kids, and it's a noisy environment. And hopefully they're to get themselves away in a small part of the house. But there's lots of distractions. And although their heart is going to be usually in the right place and they're going to try really hard, one of the big things about Filipino culture is family trumps work, no matter what. They will choose family. If grandma says, I want you to take me to the doctor for a checkup tomorrow, right in the middle of her schedule, right in the middle of the VA schedule, she's going to say, yes, grandma. And then she might be too ashamed or too scared or too shy to tell you that. So she just won't be there. Maybe she'll hope you won't notice that she's gone for 2 hours. Whereas, of course, we know if she just tells you, I need to take grandma to the hospital, is that okay if I take 2 hours off? You'll say, no problem, go ahead, as long as you get this done, this
Yes.
deadline met. You'll say, but they're too shy to kind of ask that. So
Mm.
really, you can't kind of let them go and leave them and expect good results with a home-based VA. And the pitfall when I started 9 years ago, I was all home based, and I quit the day I talked to another real estate agent. I have a VA full time, worked 8 hours a day for me, and one way or another, I found out here's another real estate agent that has also hired her full time 8 hours a day.
Oh my
Right? That's
goodness.
a big pitfall. Right?
That is, wow.
And I actually had one of my best guys. I try to keep everybody. This guy was great, but he actually told me he quit a couple of months ago, and he told me he quit so he could go and work for 5 clients full time. He's got them all on
Oh,
sorry, this project's going to take 3 hours. It takes him 20 minutes, and he does the same thing for 4 other clients. Right? And I said, because, when he said he was leaving to go work home based, I'm like, what is it? I can compete. I'll pay you whatever you think you can earn. He goes, no, you can't, because I'm getting this much from 5 people. He just told me
wow.
straight up. Right? So
Wow.
that's
These
the
are
game
like,
they play.
oh
Need
my
to be careful.
goodness.
Yeah, that's a pitfall. I'm
OMG.
not saying everybody plays that, but you asked me what the pitfall is. That's a big one.
That is massive. And how would you know? How would you know if they're doing
How
full
would you?
time for 5 different people, which is impossible, which
Yeah,
basically means that they're ripping the system off big time.
they are.
Ripping,
They are. You only
yeah. And
find out when they make a mistake, and they send you the email they're supposed to send to the other client. I'm like, that's what happened to me, and I'm like, what's it? So I called the other client. Do you know the name of this person? Yeah, they work for me full time.
oh my goodness. Wow. So they're not so
Yeah.
honest. Well, that's a good point, Angelique. So some
Not
of them maybe not so,
some. Yeah.
some.
Most are, but as a pitfall, that's one to
Mm.
watch.
I guess you can get con artists in any culture. That's the thing, right? You can get
Yeah,
con
sure.
artists in any culture.
Yeah.
So, as nice
And
as people may seem, in fact, some of the
yes,
nicest people are con artists, are the
yeah,
biggest con artists, right?
sure. And to a level, some of them might only have 2 clients, and they don't think they're conning you because they're giving you everything you give them. They're doing the task that you give them. You're obviously not giving them enough, because rather than
Right.
sitting around, they don't say to you, I'm done at 2 o'clock. Can you give me some more work? They'll go find another client to fill in that
Uh-huh.
space. So it's a little bit of that. So I'm not saying they're all con artists, but many have multiple clients that they're juggling.
Uh-huh.
So
That's
that's a
very
real online.
interesting insider information there, Rodney, and something that definitely need to be careful of. So what's the best way to avoid that? Like there are time tracking, things like Toggle I've just started to implement in my
Yeah.
business. There are
Yes.
different
I
software
think,
that you can actually
yeah.
track
I think
productivity and
I think you
time.
have to use that with a home base. They don't like it, and it's kind of intrusive, and it feels like you're babysitting a little bit. But you just have to, and maybe you just don't bring it to their attention very much, but you need to watch it. You need to randomly go on there and watch it, and only bring it up if you really feel there's an issue. Is every time you look at it, you see the Facebook screen, then you've got something to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. So Toggle basically, people can actually just record what they're doing and then start the recording, end the recording when they're doing certain tasks. But people can also manually put in there what like they could backdate it and put manually that they did this task between this time and etc. So there is
Yeah,
still an element of honesty that comes with even with Toggle
yeah, sure.
uh,
Yes.
or other software. So how do you do it, Rodney? When you've got people in an office as opposed to working from home, how do you keep track of their? And I know you can see them working, but how do you know they're not on Facebook seeing their social media and not the client's social media? Or
Right.
how do you sort of monitor
Yeah.
that even
And
when they're in the office?
we've got 2 ways. My IT, I have a full-time IT guy in the office, and he's everybody's screen is captured every second. So one of the things he
Right.
does in his IT day is he's kind of watching that. But basically, he's also got it set up, and it's kind of a pain, but it's we've had to do it. Is Facebook's blocked in our office unless you're working on your client's account, and then he's got the IP address of the client's account and whatever, and you can only get into Facebooks if you're logged into that specific login. So we really limit their the ways that they can goof off. And besides, we're walking around the office, so an office-based, managed office space, it addresses all of these issues. So
Yes.
that's why I've sometimes thought about trying to take care of the whole market, which wants the home based at a cheaper price, and I could do that as well. I'm like, no,
Mm,
because then all these issues
mm.
just come back, come back, and come back.
Yes. And a
You
massive issue is internet connection. This is a massive issue with
It's
home
massive.
based.
Yes, I just learned that because due to COVID, I had to send my employees home for the last 6 weeks, and it was tough because of that internet and power
Yes.
interruptions. Yeah, so that's brutal as well.
Yes.
Especially if
Others,
some of my clients, they answer the phone and take sales orders and customer service, and you can't have that rooster barking in the background if they're anywhere near a phone.
yes, yeah, absolutely. And they kind of the rooster going off, and the dogs and the children screaming, and the whole extended family in the background having a feast. I'm sure it all goes
Yes.
down, right?
Yeah.
And the motorbikes going up the street. Anyway, it would all be happening for sure. So, is there certain
Yes.
parts of the Philippines where the internet connection is better than other parts?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I have 3 internet connections in my office, and we survive. But we need all 3 redundancies sometimes to
Right,
get it happening.
right. And which part of the
So
Philippines are you based?
I'm in Dumaguete, which is in the central Visayas. We're kind of near Cebu. We're not one of the major cities. It's a university town. I chose it because my wife is from there, and the standard of living's quite high. I live on the beach and commute to the office 20 minutes away.
Nice,
That's in the city, so it's nice. So
nice.
I really think if I talk to a lot of people about virtual assistants, and it seems like 1 out of 10 has hit the jackpot with a home-based virtual assistant that they've had for years, and everything's going great. And I'm like,
Mm,
keep that person, do whatever you can, do not let them go because you've hit the jackpot. The other 9, I'm on my 7th virtual assistant, and I can't do it anymore.
yes,
They need to think about getting into a managed situation, or don't do it at
yes,
all, really.
yes, absolutely. And it's
Because
not
if
always.
they're, I was going to say,
Sorry.
if they're managed, they're not really virtual. They're virtual to you, but they're not virtual to us. We're
Yes,
there, physically.
yes, yes. And it'd be great to have someone that you could, bounce ideas off, or you could say, well, maybe I need this person in my business. And, like you've got some extra support there. You're not just dealing with you and
Yeah.
the VA. You've got that extra security of knowing that person's not going to just run off the next day and you'll never hear from them
Correct.
again for no apparent reason,
Yes.
as can happen and has happened. And I mean, even with some third-party agencies, like I had a third-party company that found a VA for me years ago, and I wasn't happy with that VA. So you've got to be careful also which third-party
Yeah.
company you
Sure.
go with. So what are some of the
Yeah.
pitfalls with that, or what are some of the things to look out for when you're looking for a company such as yours?
Yeah. Well, it depends. I'll try to answer that. I think talk to some of their clients is a good one, but be careful with
Yes.
third-party companies. I mean, if you find a fully managed company like mine, that's the one I think to go with. If you're satisfied with them, there's a lot of recruiting. They just basically you give them $1,000 and they just find you a VA, and that's what I
Yes.
tried to do 10 years ago, and it's not adding any value. You can go do that yourself. Just jump on the internet in 5 minutes. You've got your own VA. So you might as well just do it yourself if you're going to go that route with a third party. So if you're going to go third
Yes.
party, just get managed. For example, it was a couple of years ago, but I actually had that where a VA just disappeared. And I'm talking about somebody that sits in my office all day. She just disappeared. And it was like 3 days, nobody, and we were kind of physically worried about her. We thought she'd get killed or something like that. And the client's like, where is she? Oh, my life depends on her and whatever. So management, we didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't even know this happened. But 9 of her workmates finished their shift, went to her house, found her, and found out she had an issue with grandma or some family drama that she needed to give her full time and attention to that family issue. But they convinced her to come back, and she couldn't come back permanently, but they convinced her to come back and at least tidy up and transfer stuff to the new person and all that. But those 9 workmates did that, which with a home-based deal,
Wow.
you're just screwed. You're just ghosted. Everything's gone. And
Oh, wow. Amazing. And I mean, if they just communicated and said, I've got an issue with grandma, can I just take a day off?
yes, fame and
But
shame.
of course, fame and
Right.
shame. Wow. Fame and shame. So Angelique's got a great question here. Can you give
Yes.
them financial rewards for leads created?
Yes, and we do. Clients who are doing that kind of stuff, they absolutely have a performance bonus schedule. We have a performance bonus system for everything, even the admin that just does stuff on the computer all day, because you got to keep them motivated and incentivized. But yeah, so the answer is yes. But I will tell you, there's pros and cons. The virtual assistants in the Philippines, they can do an amazing range of tasks. They're very, very talented. But one of the things that 9 out of 10 of them are no good at is sales. Now, can they do the LinkedIn outreach and email campaigns and set up all the admin work and grab the templates? And absolutely. But if you want them on the phone selling, like I do have an ISA, appointment setting arm of the business, and have had for 9 years, and it's survived. And we have a few clients that are happy with it, but we do most other things so much better. They're soft, gentle people that if we do inbound sales, and they're fantastic. The phone's already ringing with somebody who wants to buy. They're great. Customer service, they take care of, it's really good. But that, calling leads, for example, they're just not that good at it. So you might want to strike that one off your list, except for the 1 out of 10.
Yes.
Sometimes you can get the money hungry driven, 1 out of 10 or even less than, 1 out of 50 salesperson Filipino, and they do great.
Yes. So Angelique's looking for someone to get leads that she could then close the sale. So,
right.
which is still a bit tricky.
What we do with moderate success, and when I say moderate, it's got a return on investment, or we've had clients doing that for years. So there's a return on investment satisfaction, but they're given a list, and we're calling the list. And then if there's an interested, one of our capture lines is, that's a great question. Let me transfer you to Angelique, and she can answer that for you. We get to that point. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Kind of a qualifying process. And I think we're pretty good. I think any Filipino VA is pretty good at that, because they're very, in a disc profile, they're very I, so they're very social, conversational person. They're just too shy to close the deal. So if they pass at that point, they're passing it on to you. It can work, and then you can pay them. But having said that, I think it's a culture that very much lives in the now, and you won't find too many people, if any, that want to work on commission only. They want to get their security, so they want that base, and then you can add on. If you achieve this, you get this much bonus and this much. I've even asked managers, do you want to make this much salary or a lower salary and a stock option of the company? And they've all chosen the higher salary today.
Okay,
instead of more money tomorrow. It's just a today culture, which is
right.
We can learn a lot from that. We all spend our whole lives in anxiety, worrying about tomorrow. They don't.
Yeah, fascinating. Gosh, there's so many things to get your head around. So what are some of the tasks that you can give VAs?
Oh, it's really open. We've got a list of 101 things. We do anything from the social media marketing and the posting and the content creation and the LinkedIn. In real estate, we do this thing called contract to close, which is when the contract settles all the things that have to be done on the way through the transaction. It's the same. It's all related around serving the customer or the client. We work for insurance and financial like mortgage brokers and financial planners. that have a lot of delivery that they need to deliver to their customers. That's if it's a ongoing task, then they do it really, really well. But anything from the data entry through to the graphic design, do your brochures and your Facebook posts, and it's really varied. There's not much. When I get presented with a client, here's my list of things I need doing. Tell me what you can't do. There's not much that we can't do. It's just really a matter of training. And if you've got that list, here's the number 2 big giveaway of this is if you're doing these things yourself now, but you think, like I got a call this morning from a client, he says, I just realized I'm working for $12 an hour. Tasks, right? He's doing all these administrative tasks that he could outsource to a $12 an hour person. He says, I need to get that $12 an hour person fast as possible, so I have time to do those $500 an hour things.
Yes.
So as I told him, I said, well, for now, for the next few days, week, just take a video of yourself doing those tasks, and then you're done. You've now trained your virtual assistant to do that just by taking the video and describing what you're doing and why you're doing it in each video. So if you're thinking about bringing on those virtual assistants, start that right away and just build your library of every single thing you do. Get that video made. And then once you bring on your VA can build those systems just around between your mind map and your video. They can build a whole system for you. And it's great training for them as well.
Yes, I think that's great. And, all sorts of things like setting up events, doing your admin, doing research for you online. There's just so many things. Anything you do more than once that can be outsourced, you can give to a VA.
Yes. Exactly.
So notice what you do more than once and set up a system and find someone. I think what you're doing, Rodney, is just brilliant with your service. I think you will save people so much time and so much headache. And yes, they may pay a little bit more than some other VAs. However, they're probably going to get twice as much productivity and they're going to get the job done properly. So I think
the whole team
and the support.
Yeah,
yes, sure. Absolutely. So what about some other tips for us? What about, for example, paying the VAs? How do you, like, say someone's outside of the Philippines, what's the best way to transfer money to them? Any particular websites you recommend?
10 years ago, it was a pain in the butt and it was super hard. But now there's the two top 2 or 3, I think, TransferWise, which is now called Wise, is super easy. Airconics, a newer Australian company, is a good one. There's another Singapore-based company called Pay on Ear, Paya on Ear, ON Ear. It's really easy. You can just tell that system to take the money from your Australian bank account, and it ends up in their Filipino peso bank account. So the infrastructure these days to do anything, that's not your problem. That's really easy. It's all there. Google Drive, the project management systems, everything's in the cloud. It's you can work online on the same document at the same time with your VA. That's the least of your problems. It's more of the the cultural things, learning what motivates your Filipino VA, how to handle different culture, keep them motivated. It's those kinds of issues, which are not a whole lot different from your in-house onshore, employees anyway.
Yeah, it's worth looking at a few different systems though. PayPal is very high fees. A lot of people use PayPal. There's Remitly, there's AirWallets is a new one that's just come out that's 0.3 to 0.6% as opposed to say 4%. So really it's worth, doing a comparison before you pay, because you want more money to end up in your VA's pocket, right?
Yes.
So you want to minimize those middleman fees in between of those different companies. So definitely do your research on that.
Don't do Western Union and don't do PayPal.
Right.
Expensive. The thing you
Right.
really, where they get you is a lot of these companies, but they only charge $3.95 and that's all they pay. Well, no, they rape you 3% on the exchange rate. So you really want to look at the fees and the exchange rate both when you're comparing to make it apples to apples.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah, that's right. There's all
Angelica
these
just
hidden
said,
fees.
how do you sack
Yes.
your VA without making them feel shame?
Shame.
You know, that's a hard one, but I'll tell you what I do, but I don't know that it's going to work if you just have a home base. If I'm ready to go, we do training and counseling. We do everything we can, because as a business owner, you don't want to sack somebody. You've just invested a lot into them, right? So you don't want to sack them. But if we've got to the end, what I do, which works if they're with a group of people, is I get to them where it's D-Day, it's time to sack them, and I say, it's a private meeting, and I will say, there's two things. I can just let you go now, or if you'd like, I can offer you the opportunity to resign and to walk back into the room there with all your peers and tell them that, I want to say goodbye because I've decided to leave the company.
Right.
And then there's no
shame. Yes, which would work in an office environment.
As in any, the same as when it's different when they resign as when you terminate them. There's a whole bunch of employment regulations that you don't have to deal with.
Yes.
So the answer is, if you find a way to put it kind of on you, even if you kind of have to stretch a little bit and tell them that, it's on your financial side, or you can't, you don't have enough work for them anymore, or something to put the shame on you. I love you so much. It breaks my heart that we just can't afford this anymore. And just let
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to do the
that's
same little white lie to you when they leave.
Yes, that's right. Little white lies happening all over the place, I'm sure. So,
Right.
however, you want to be, you want to show appreciation, either way. So you want to show that you appreciate them and end on good terms as much as possible.
Sure.
You don't want to just,
Yeah, you don't want to drop the hammer, but I'm sure if you're ready to sack them, they must know. You've already exhausted a lot of things to get to that point. They must know it's coming. So just give them the opportunity to resign, however you can structure it.
Yes, good idea. And Angelique says, I like it. And look, things are changing all the time. Nothing lasts forever in life. And if you get a VA that's with you for, a long time, that's brilliant. I mean, what is about the average time that VAs will stay with a company or with an employer? Generally, was there an average in Philippines, for example?
No, there probably is, but I don't know it. I know a millennial lasts 18 months in a job. I tend to get about 3 years on average. So you've done well, Aldwyn, with your 3 to 4 years already.
Yeah.
Right. One of the problems I have at the 3 to 4 year mark is, everybody likes to grow, and this is kind of an internal, doesn't really affect my clients, but their VA wants to become a team leader in the company. They don't want to do a VA anymore, but their client loves them and wants them to stay with the VA, but the client's tasks have been the same for 3 years and there's no growth there. So I'm not going to take your VA and make them my manager. I can't do that. So that is one of the contributors to leaving.
Yes.
Yes. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, got that. And I must say, in my business in the last year, there has been a lot of growth, and there's been new tools and new software we've been adding. So we've got, even though we have the mundane set tasks, there's been a lot of variety, and things are really growing quite rapidly. And initially my VA was part-time, and now she's full-time. So I think that's given her extra job security as well. I think they really like to be full-time. Is that correct?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and typically, if they're only part-time for you, they're going to be part-time for somebody else anyway, which is okay. Yes. That's not part of that whole 5-client thing. They work 4 hours for you and 4 hours for somebody else. That's fine.
Yes. Yeah. So I think there's definitely things you should be watching. What about, do you do a morning routine with your VAs, or like how do you sort of set them up for success?
Yes, that's a great question, because empowering them is a real key to success. So we ask every day, we ask our clients to have a check-in. It can be chat, but we prefer a voice, even like 30 seconds. Good morning. How you tell us what you're going to do today thing. So we like that to come from the client, but we also have our teams, and our teams can be two. Sometimes, often they're two, but teams of 2, 3, 4, 5. We do a 5-minute huddle where the team leader will get together with the 2 or the 5 or whatever, and just say, tell us what's going to happen today. What's on your list? What's, to get it all fresh in mind and stimulated. And then at the end of the day, we do end of shift reports where they actually have to do a report. A lot of the times it's automated now. Like if you have a good project management system, they don't actually have to do a report. It just generates, well, here's what they did today. But there has to be some daily accountability for what they got done. You can't leave them a week and then come back and expect that you're going to get a week's worth of work, because they'll figure out that you're not watching and be on Facebook.
Yes, and doing other things, taking the kids to the hospital, or whatever it is. Watching TV in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
With my VA, occasionally I'll just call her out of the blue and I'll see if she answers, and I'll, there's little things I do, that unexpected little times I contact my VA to see how responsive she is, right?
Great.
And then I'm always listening out for background noises. Right, for the roosters, for the screaming TV, for the screaming kids, for the all of that.
Yeah.
Which, I've had my VA so long now, but I'm still curious as to what she gets up to in a day. What I mean?
Well, the screen catcher programs are good for that too. You can just spend 10 seconds and click on and see right now what's on her screen, and is it moving?
Yes. Is it moving? Is the screen moving? Exactly. Great tip. And there's Toggle, and there's all sorts of other ones out there too. So time tracking software. Have a look for some of those. Angelique has a question here. If you share a VA, can you get them full-time later?
Yeah. No. In our model, it's a no, because they're working for the other client, but it's also a positive, because the answer, even if you're home-based and you've got somebody that works for 2 clients, you can't suddenly have them quit the other client. But in our model, when you go to so you've got one person working for you full-time, and now you part-time, and now you want to go to full-time, we bring on a second person, which provides you that redundancy, and they can either sit beside each other for 4 hours per day, or they can work 4 hours and then consecutive. They work the other 4 hours if you want the coverage, or they can have a 30-minute overlap. But you'll get a second person that sits next to your first person, and they work as a team together. And that's so much better for many, many reasons. One of which, it creates a little bit of competitive spirit, because they're kind of holding each other accountable. I don't want to carry all the weight of this task. They'll say to the other VA, and one other point about an office space is Filipinos are very, very social, and they just like to be around each other. It's really hard for them to be sitting at home, especially if they're not a single mom. If they're a single mom, they're taking care of their kids, but if they're just at home, they'll just get bored and quit anyway. I often get some home-based, I like it actually, because they've got a bit of skill. Some home-based VAs will come and apply to be in the company. I was like, you're probably making a little bit more money from home base, so why do you want to come work for me? And that's their answer. The social side.
Right. The social side. And that's the thing, is that, realize that your VAs are real people, and they need that communication. And that's where having regular contact with them is great. So something we've just started to use Asana more regularly now, and Slack as a conversation place for the teams. And so one thing I've instigated with my VA now is, in the morning we say good morning and share 3 things we're grateful for the day as a way to start the day. So that's kind of like the 5-minute huddle, but just very quickly, 3 things off the top of your head you're grateful for, and it just sets your day up for success. And I do recommend that for those watching.
I'm gonna borrow it if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, borrow that one. 3 things you're grateful for. And then at the end of the week, we also have questions, 5 questions at the end of the week, such as, what achievements are you grateful for this week? What are some challenges you faced? What are some, obstacles that you overcame? How did you overcome it? What are some things you're looking forward to in the week ahead? So just a few questions to wrap up the week as well, so that they can look back at the week and go, okay, I acknowledge myself for this. This worked really well. This was some challenges I overcame, and this is what I'm looking forward to moving forward. So that's something else I've instigated. And I'm no expert at this, but I just think things up and put them in place, as we do as entrepreneurs, right? So, so there's just a few little tips for you. There's so much we can chat about on this topic, and it's already been nearly an hour. Yes. Rodney, the time has just flown. So now if people want to work with you or find out more about what you do, Rodney, how can they do that? What's the best way?
If you go on globalofficeworks.com, at the very bottom, there's a chat. It's a Calendly link. Chat, book a call. That comes to me. Book a call. Whether you want to work with me or not, if you're looking to go another direction, or you have a VA, or you do want to learn more about our services, whatever, I'd love to be your resource. And you can just brainstorm any issues you're having with your current VA. I might be able to help you with, because having been in this environment in the Philippines, in the Filipino culture for the last 10 years, I've got a lot that I want to share. So you can reach out to me anytime. My email address is rodney@globalofficeworks.com. But if you actually apply to the on the email on their website, you can get my email address. So it's rodney@globalofficeworks.com, or you book a call. We can have a 15-20 minute call, and happy to be any help I can as well. And if you there's a lot of blogs on our website. If you go to the blogs page on our website, that covers a lot of what we've talked about. And if you leave your email address on this chat right now, I'll send you my Moby Mag, which has also got a lot covered. But if you're listening to the recording, just reach out. Send an email to Rodney@globalofficeworks.com. Tell her you're interested in just learning more. Let's connect. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Global Office Works on LinkedIn, and we can chat there as well.
Brilliant. And I'll pop that in the chat in just a minute. And then also you've got Moby Mag here. Can you just explain quickly about this?
Oh, it's an online magazine that shows up on your phone, and it's in the format of your phone, really easy to read, so you can just look at it on the go. But I've got this kind of 5-article Moby Mag that's really good if you already have a VA. It has a lot more detail of the tips that I've touched on during the session here. Happy to share that with anybody.
Brilliant. And so that is in the chat there. If you're not seeing it on the chat where you are, this is going to Media Queen TV on YouTube. It's being streamed into the Mass Media Tribe group on Facebook and on my personal profile. So if you're not seeing any of that in the chat, sometimes it doesn't come through from StreamYard, just private message me and we'll make sure we get that in there. Okay, brilliant. Well, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting with you, Rodney. I must say you are a wealth of knowledge, an amazing man, and so generous. I really appreciate your time today. And if anyone else has any other questions, if you do have questions, please pop them in the comments in the chat and we will get back to those later. Any final words before we wrap up, Rodney?
Nike, just do it. You need a VA or you're a $5, $10, $12, $15 an hour person. You just do it. Find your way. Reach out to me if I can help in any way. If you get a week in and you're struggling with this or that, I've been there. I made the same mistake you'll make. Hopefully we can connect before you make the mistake so I can help you not make it. But they're just fantastic. The Filipinos are just absolutely fantastic people. Their heart's in the right place and they really do everything to make you succeed. So jump in and get one.
Yeah, fantastic. And, you know, the amazing Dale Beaumont, who is a mentor for both of us from Business Blueprint Program, he said, if you don't have an assistant, you are an assistant, right? You are your assistant, right? So this is the thing to remember. If you don't have one, you are the assistant, which means you're basically working, you know, long hours doing work that really you could be putting that time into something where you're more in flow, and outsource what you're not so much in flow with, so that you can achieve more as a team. One and one makes three, right? So it's really, if you've got the right team in place, you will really be able to take things exponential in your business. Angelique says, very grateful. Definitely contact you. Thank you to both of you. Our pleasure. Thank you, Angelique. Thank you so much for everyone who's contributed on this today. And for those who have been watching, what did you get out of this today? Just pop into the comments. What did you get from this today? What are you going to take on board from now? Hopefully you'll reach out to Rodney and you'll arrange a call with him. He is awesome. And if you want to avoid all of the heartache of going through different platforms and having a work from home VA and want some reliability in this, then it would be definitely worth checking out what Rodney does. Angelique says, I missed the beginning. What is the difference between the prices? Oh, okay. What's the difference between the prices?
It's about double because what you pay your home-based VA, that's what I'm paying. That's the salary that I'm paying. But on top of that, now I've got my office, my infrastructure, my 3 internet lines, my backup generator, my five managers. So that by the end of the day, the cost is about double, which is like call it $6 to $12 an hour.
Yes. And I'm sure you'd have double productivity as well. Double productivity for double the price.
And at the end of the day, it's a couple of $100 extra, and we like to give you a return on investment far greater than that anyway. So.
Yes. And very quickly, one more question is, how do you work out the incentives for your VAs? Financial incentives.
Our VAs, we have different incentives for admin versus sales, marketing people, but we have a whole list of things they do, from showing up to getting good grades from their client, getting good report from their client every month. But on the sales side, it's a numbers game. So you just give them basically production. If you anything to do with getting leads or sales or anything like that. And that's what we do internally, but we also recommend to our clients. We say we have a fixed package. There's your monthly fee is what it is, except for one thing: what you give directly to your VA as an additional coming from you, which of course helps their pocketbook, but it also helps your relationship because it's coming from you and not from me. Of course, we know you're paying me, so I'm paying them. So it's coming from you anyway, but it's coming directly from you. And they appreciate that. So, whatever it is, like $100, we just, even if they're not in any way of sales, you're just like, thanks. I had a great month. We had the record month last month, and I took 4 extra days off. Here's $150. Just thank you. That's a lot for them. That goes a long way.
Yes.
I love you for
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, amazing. How to have loyal VAs, look after them, right? Yeah. Amazing. Angelique says amazing. Thank you so much once again, Rodney. Any final words?
I think the only thing I thought about is Dale preaches this, and I totally believe it because I see it over and over and again. The 1 and 1 makes 3. The you and the VA makes 3. That third person's likely to be an Australian. So you can enlarge your onshore team. So people have got this, I'm not sure I want to take jobs out of Australia, but you're not. You're going to build your company through the use of VAs.
Yes.
Right?
So true. Exactly. Yeah. So it's that abundance mentality, right? The more you grow your team, the more you'll need people on the ground to be doing work for you, with your events and things in Australia or America, wherever you are. Yep. So, doing it on your own, you're just going to burn out. That's what's going to happen. You're going to have yourself a job for the rest of your life and not a business. And, as much as I love what I do, I've had to let go of my control freak nature and my lone wolf nature, which I've had over the years. I'm sure no other entrepreneurs have any of this going on that think that they're the only one that can do the job properly, right? Had to let go of some of that. And even if you have a VA who does something at 70 or 80% rate that you can do it at least it's taking that off your shoulders and you can focus more on what you can do best.
Probably won't be 70% rate, by the way. It's going to be less than that. Because we're high achievers.
Right, yeah. Or even
still,
30, 40. Yeah. And some things they might do better than you, right? In fact, there's some things my VA, and some things my VA does that I'm not even sure how she does it, So, Yeah, so so much to learn about all this. Thank you so much once again, Rodney. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yep.
And thank you everyone for watching. Please do subscribe to Media Queen TV. If you haven't already on YouTube, we have over 600 videos there inspiring truth and good news. And I will also pop in my link tree, which has all my social media links. We have monthly Mass Media Tribe events for free. We've got one coming up on being photogenic is teachable. And we also have the Global Good News Challenge coming up as well, which are 2 free events I run every month. And we have the free PR Secrets or Free Publicity Secrets Masterclass that's coming up August 18, 4-hour masterclass online as well, teaching you how to get publicity. I don't hold back, it's content packed. And if you want to cut through the noise with your marketing, then free publicity is an amazingly underutilized tool that will definitely help you stand out. So please do connect. That's my Linktree link in the chat there. Thank you once again, Rodney. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world. And we look forward to joining you again soon. Bye for now.